afternoon, everyone. In this guide video, I'm going to talk about creating your character and how to progress efficiently. Fracture Online is a very grindy game. It is what it is. Me, I enjoy playing grindy games. But you also have to use your brain a bit in this game. So you need to decide what class is your early game setup, what class is your late game setup. My personal late game setup for grinding out knowledge points and getting to that rank 50 like I've done on my first character in this playtest is Great Sword with Plate Armor. Just very great for clearing AoE mobs. With Bloodlust you can heal. It's a very good class. If you want to see, you can look at my class showcase video. But I think for the early game, the strongest class is going to be mages. Now, when you're starting out, Pyromancer is going to be the highest DPS in the game. So when you're first starting the game, regardless of what you're going to do, because you can always respec later, right? I would always just pick Pyromancer. Now, if you really want to be a tank, or you really want to be a wisdom-based class, you can, because some of these starting classes give you abilities that you're going to want towards your endgame class so you can faster. Personally, I just always would start with Pyromancer. Now, when you're talking about attributes, right? I like to bring everything down to 8 and only take the things that we need. For me, since I'm a mage, I like to max out intelligence, wisdom, and perception. The reason I max perception is to see that critical chance going up. Your spells can critically strike, and the accuracy will come into effect later on when you get your first totem. Because your totem's damage is based off your accuracy and intelligence. I went with a random name. Boom, have your first character, right? Now, when you're first getting into the game, you're going to have to go through the tutorial. I'm just going to skip through the tutorial, and I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, first thing I want to do is go to the nearest campfire. The reason we're doing this is we're going to look at our hotbar, right? Once you get your preset set up, you're going to look at the abilities that you want to learn. So we just take all of our starting abilities. Mage Armor is great. It basically makes a light armor user into a medium armor user. Burning Pillar is one of the best pyromancy spells in the game. Now this is all like good DPS, right? But in order to max out our DPS, we're going to look and see, okay, we still have 6 memory slots to fill out. So personally, I like Fireball. Fireball's a very good damage spell. And I need Totem of Wildfire. So the first thing I do when I load into the game is look, what do I need to kill first to finish my starting class, right? The class you're going to level up with. Now, if you look at the abilities you want, you can see at the bottom, monsters using this ability. Goblin Fire Shaman. Totem also uses Goblin Fire Shaman. So the first thing I would do is go to the goblin areas, here and here, and I would just grind out that totem. Because the instant you get your full ability hotbar set up, it's going to increase your progress much more. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know what to do when I first get into the game, so they just go to bandits, they go to goblins, they mind-numbingly farm stuff that they don't need. But it's always good to get your farming build set up first. You can always just go into your abilities, look at them, and see which ones would be viable for your knowledge point farming. The faster you figure that out, the faster you're going to get to rank 50. Because once you get your kit fully set up for leveling, it's going to skyrocket you further. Rather than just killing random bullshit mobs, killing everything you see as you're running around the map, you're not going to have the abilities you need to do the proper DPS to fight the mobs you want to fight in order to grind knowledge points. So when you first get into the game, I would just go as a mage, I'd go gather, get myself a commoner set, get myself a primitive staff, and I'd just go start farming Goblin Fire Shaman. But you have to think about your progression as well, right? So, when you first start the game, I don't have it here because I already have a character that's maxed out. When you first start the game, you'll have 40 hours of new player protection, or when you hit 80,000 knowledge points. This is an open world PvP game. What I like to do first is, while I still have the new player protection, I want to go figure out where I'm going to build a house. I build my house, do all the gathering to get my furnaces going, gather my Shadium, my Azurite, my Fulgurite, grab some Sulfurite. I grab and gather everything I need to progress into the late game while I still have that new player protection. That way I don't have to fight people. Because when the game actually launches in early access, these Azurite areas, Sulfurite areas, all of this is going to be contested by big groups because it's a valuable resource. When there's 3,000 players online, you're not going to be able to just go there and get whatever you want. You're going to have to fight people for it. Because there's going to be red players camping it that don't want to gather, right? And they'll just come, kill the person gathering it, and then take the wagon. So I think in terms of progression, the first thing you want to do, build your house, right? But you also have to think about time value. The house isn't that far away. I can go to Bravos, get my house set up, and then come back and farm the shamans. I think it's a good idea to get your house and everything going in it, charcoal piles, your furnaces, and all that before you start grinding mobs. It's best to do it during that new player protection. Once you get your house set up, that's when you go and figure out what abilities you want to farm with. So just to get the build fully set up, go into our preset we were setting up. So we need 6 memory, right? So I like Fireball, I like Totem Wildfire, and I like getting all the cloaks, because a lot of stuff you're going to be fighting does elemental damage. However, you might find some other abilities that do higher DPS that might help you. So as a fire mage, I'm going to try to farm everything that gives me fire abilities before I start worrying about other stuff. Yeah, video turned into kind of a longer one, but I just want to talk about like just the way progression works in the game, because a lot of people when they first download the game and they get started, they get very confused and they don't really know what to do. They just run around aimlessly. Yeah, that's basically it. Set up your character, go build your house, gather everything you need while you have new player protection, and then farm whatever mobs you need to drop the ability that you need. It's going to be the end of this guy.